Good morning, everyone. It's Alex here, or Dignified Rain, beginning the next step of TerraFarmers. Today we're going to be looking at some art, building up some concepts, and working on the development scope of our game. And in my case, that kind of looks like actually coming up with a plan of what we're going to do for the game development here. I've got a lot of ideas, but I reached this point where I'm just not entirely sure what the next step is. And so I want to work on that today. Starting to clarify my ideas into actionable content. Yeah. So that's today's goal. Working on some administration stuff and just kind of showing you what that process looks like. Let's see here. All right, let's switch over into, let's roll our intro and get into what we're doing today. All right. So here we are in our game scene. And just to recap for where we left off, we have our mining system working, our harvesting system working, item pickups, map generation, drag and drop, drag right click from the inventory. We got quite a bit going on for us today. Excuse me. Maybe a phlegmy day, I think. All right. So, one of the first things, let's see here. I'm gonna open up Milanote. For those that don't know, Milanote's pretty awesome. Let me get a couple things set up here, and then yeah, we can get rolling. All right. So Milanote. Milanote's a great little designer tool for you to start kind of building up brainstorming and other general ideas. So we can start with one note. Let's see here. Actually, let's start working on a to-do list. Maybe Trello would be a better... We'll see. So, what I want to do, right, is start creating some ideas for what we can do in our game. And so, one of the things that we can do is harvesting. One of the things that we want to be able to do is... can I paint that? No thanks. There you go. After harvesting, we want to do crafting. And so what makes a survival game? What features make up a survival game? Right? So in the development of TerraFarmers, I knew that I wanted to build a survival game that was reminiscent of um, a, a few game inspirations here. Let's see. I really like is it Astroneers? I think it's Astroneers. I don't know why I dragged that out. We don't need to. So games. So this would be like. Come on, give me this. There we go. Oh, thanks. Influence. I spelled it right first. Games of influence. Just gotta make some notes here. I really like Astroneers. Let's see. We can actually make this into like a bullet point. Okay. Let's see. We'll add not a to-do list. Come on. Where is that? I guess actually notes have bulletin points, don't they? There we go. So Astroneers, Slime Rancher. I want to say it's Astroneers. Yeah. I'm gonna grab an image. These are just some inspirational things that I really like. Gotta grab this. Copy the image. Go back to Milanote. I might have to save the image, actually. Indeed. Alright, that's fine. We're just gonna right-click to this, save image as. Go to our TerraFarmers, upload the image, click. Boom. Let's add some art here. Let's see. I'm gonna pull this over here so I can grab some more images and not clutter up my screen here. Alright, so Astroneers is fun. Slime Ranchers. Or rather, singular. I think this is a good picture to add. Give me a second. Go and add a new image. Add Slime Rancher in here. One of the things I like to think about when I'm working is what isn't, or like what isn't our game, or another way of thinking about this is what can't our game do. And so I like to think about this kind of in two parts. Let me increase this a little bit. And then also what can we do? And we're doing this is called in user experience. If we were trying to design something from a user's perspective, we would go look at the games, see what features these games do and don't do. So both of these games. So let's see. Okay. What does the game do? In both of these games, we can craft to a degree, right? In Slime Ranchers, it's not really crafting, it's more of plot management. Plot upgrades. A collection / harvesting system, as both games do. A health system, as you can die. What can't we do? We can't starve. No eating or drinking mechanics. Player upgrades. Building progression. Another game that I like to pull into this is Forager. Let's save this photo. And add it here. Yeah, guess what? I don't care, guy. Alright. So we kind of got our blueprint here of what we're gonna want to do. One thing that I want to add that these other games don't have is mob / or just enemy AI generally. What all of these games are is pretty casual, right? Like, I'm going for a casual, fun, hilarious sort of a game. Like, at least that's what I would like to try to obtain, right? So, let's see here. Let's see. Another game that I really like is Core Keeper. We can copy this, paste it in here. That's kind of a shoddy picture. Let's see if we can get that in higher resolution. There we go. We'll stretch that out. Don't need to be that big. Again, just kind of stacking the games that I like so I can see what these games do, right? We want to see what they do well, what could be improved upon, what aspects of these things, because generating, you know, a new idea, right? We're already tapping into game genres. It'd be like drawing without references, right? Some people can do this, but overall, artists still use references. You look at other drawings, you think about, you know, to think about what an item is, what it does, you know, so on and so forth. And programming is the same way, right? I mean, I don't need to look at somebody's code. I can just look at what they've made, what they've done, what worked. So as I'm kind of thinking about this, and just kind of putting it down, jotting my thoughts down, what we have here is the basics of that system, right? We've got some crafting going on. Did some work on bringing in some old assets of mine, recoloring them, adding in these green mushrooms and this toxic looking thing. A mob potentially, and another mob that we kind of have is our our radishes. Let's move these guys into a place where we can actually keep them organized. Maybe move him off to the side for now. I want to bring an experience that is replayable, engaging, but I'm not looking for a breakout title either, right? I'm looking for something that, you know, I'm happy with. I want to release a game that I'm proud of and that I enjoy. Alright, so we're going to get rid of this stuff because we don't need this anymore. We kind of have an idea of our UI. I'm not really sure what this is yet. Let's see here. Built some cool little tiles for like toxic ground or something. Made a carrot. We got carrots now. I don't have the carrot unit yet. I could work on that. But before I just go about adding in a bunch of like resource items and things like that, I gotta start thinking about what we want to do in our game. How are we gonna, like, are there NPCs that we get quests from? Where do we get our quests from? What are we doing? And why are we doing it? I'm curious what you guys think would be fun. What are things that you enjoy doing? I do know that one of the things I do want to get done is putting items in your hand. And so let's consider now what we're gonna do. I think that we can, without adding animation, right? One of the things that we want to do is like pin the a point on the player, and then make sure that our item is pinned to that point, so we can have like a floating item. And in most of these games, we'd start with like a pickaxe or something. So I want to start thinking about what we can add. Let's start thinking about how I want this UI to work. You know, we could end up doing kind of what like Terraria does, or not Terraria, Starbound, where you have like a little laser thing. Maybe we can take the player's hand and transform it a little bit. What if we do like change it up so it ends up looking like a... It's really hard to tell the difference. I think I'd have to draw something colored. Let's see. Not on the whole drawing, you dingus. And that's backwards. There we are. So maybe we could do like a... It just looks funny. How are we going to do this? I'm gonna go to itch. Sometimes when I run out of ideas, I'll go to itch.io and go to the asset bundles and just look at the same genre of games, right? Another one of my favorite games actually is unless it's Rogue Heroes. Rogue Heroes Ruins of Tassos. Tassos? That's a great game. I'm gonna copy that image and add it to our Milanote. There we are. Beautiful. This game is great too. A bit more of a Legend of Zelda art style, particularly with the tree shape and the bushes. Well, and in every way, really. But it's another one for the bookmarks. Let's see. Top down 2D. Sorry, it's not super interesting right now, guys. This is kind of the way it goes. I just like streaming the whole process. Uh, Way back says, I know it says no eating or drinking mechanics, but couldn't it be used as a temporary boost on the player, like Valheim, where you get food bonuses for. Well, you technically don't have to eat, but obviously it addresses your stamina and health. That is an option for sure, something to consider. Let's see here. Both. Our TerraFarmers will be both. The question was when it says multiplayer, is it local or online? And we're designing, or I say we, when I'm designing TerraFarmers to be both. So we're going to be using a framework that allows for ID host connections. So you won't be connecting via IP or anything. You'll be connecting via your own join code. And then there's also split screen multiplayer. And I'm trying to get it to work so that there's both at the same time. So you can play split screen with a friend and join online games. And most of my code right now is represented on for each player. So we have the ability to add another player with controls. But I don't have a join button yet or any of that. But the mechanics, the inventories right now would be rendered separately for each player. Collisions are different on each player, and all of that. So, good stuff. At the moment, I'm kind of trying to look at some like sci-fi items and things, weapons, things that we can maybe add to the game. And maybe not necessarily weapons per se, but like gadgets. We are kind of in a sci-fi thing. It feels weird if I have a pickaxe in this style of game. Um, I think I'll start pretty soon working on a sci-fi tile set for like the inside of the ship and things like that. Oh, cool. A 3D platformer similar to Banjo-Kazooie and Ukulele. Yeah, that would definitely be a good, I would say, a good project to work on for something in like Unity. Maybe I'm sure there's a lot of assets to help get you started in something like that. Hmm. Oh, Unreal 5. Yeah, the blueprint system for Unreal 5 would be excellent. All right, let's see what's going on here. Hmm. Let's see here. Let me move this over. Let's see. So one of the things that I want to add back to my game, I know for sure, is the worm. I've drawn the worm previously in some of my other stuff. I want to bring it back. So let's open this up. Go to black. What do we want to do here? We want to do... I mean, pretty straightforward. It's a worm. Right? Like, right out of the gate, it's a worm. I want to do 2 of these, however. Oh, snap. So, that would be the worm. And I think I actually want 3. Like that. It's looking kind of funny. Let's see here. And then I like to base it off of the environment. So we could do like the top of the worm like this. I'll probably adjust these colors. Oh my goodness. It looks goofy. Well, let me tell you. Here in a second, you'll see what I'm talking about. And a worm needs to, like, inch, you know? That's what worms do. They inch. One of the things that I've drawn previously is this. I had to pull it up while I was talking. Is like a mushroom that produces worms that then explode on the player. They turn into nasty little bomb things. Let's see. Wormageddon, indeed. And I believe that this is basically what that animation would look like. We can find out, though. Let's see. Add a new animation. 4. Let's jump down to 225. Let's see where that goes. Where are you at? Where are you at? I think I might have passed it. Let's see, where's this at? 487. Oh no, we're not even close. That's why. We gotta get the animation to the right place. And let's take a peek. Oh, that's ugly. We forgot to pick up our character and kind of... That's not quite right. That looks weird. We're gonna fix this. Two ways of doing this. I am gonna be cheap because I don't like redrawing things I've already drawn. So I'm gonna break the system here. And we're gonna take our worm and just copy his frames. And now, obviously, in the animation, we're moving our character, right? Normally, it'd be in one spot. And so what I had is in the arch of the worm, he went up, and then I did have the down the right way, but his up was jacked up. And so I think his up is like this. Yeah, that's better. Let's bring it back down one. Right? And then we can go back and look at this shape. Are we obtaining that shape here? Yeah, I wonder if it's like not far enough though. This needs to go back. This needs to go over. And then, like, down. I mean, it looks kind of weird now, but, like, if it was moving, it'd look a little less awkward, I think. Let's see. Flat. We can have it pop down, and it arches up. Even then, I have it like up to, and then like that. Almost. That's a weird... How did I do that? Because like I previously, I was working on another art project where I have like mushrooms that fly and some other art drops that I was working on, other concepts in the past based on Slime Rancher and the things I enjoy. And I pulled in my carrot, and I have some other slime creatures and things I was working on. Actually, this is perfect. I'm going to be super cheap. I don't want to redraw this. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to shrink it down. Until it's like pixel for pixel. Hey, look at that. Check that out. That worked fine. Ripping off my own art. Look at that. Look at that. I don't use those pictures or those colors anywhere else, so we can just unrestrict a tile and just wipe them. Beautiful. Makes that super simple. I'm not even sad about that, really. Let's move up and check out what our differences here are. Ah, yeah, okay. Not quite right. And in this case, we have like that underglow, and in a lot of our images, we actually don't have a black outline on the bottom. Same with our player. And so this actually does work. And if I just take the darker blue, and color this in, then the worm, we're just going to recolor it. There we go. That's a much better animation than what I was trying to do from my previous work. Let's see here. We're just going to take the bright green, follow it in with some dark green, and then do an even darker green, which we have kind of over here. Is that deep under layer? You're happy to create concepts. What do you mean? And so now we have like the worm, toxic worm, right? We want the regular worm. And I like these pinks and purples for some reason. They really catch my attention. So we're gonna go across our worm here and do another blend for a worm in maybe a different biome. Right? For now, we'll just stick with this worm. So we have a worm that can run around. That'll be fun to animate. Or not animate. Fun to create the AI for that. Oh, I see. I mean, I'm happy for people to throw out their ideas way back at any time, you know? Happy to see whatever you can create. That worm is moving backwards. There we go. Much better. Let's see here. Don't need the radish there anymore. Don't need these there anymore. Sort of trying to clean up my sprite sheet here. We'll move the slime and the player. One of the things that I know I want for this game is basically, I mean, the game's called TerraFarmers, right? It's got to has something to do with terraforming a planet. Obviously, I'm still open to shifting the title around, but I kind of want to work on a moon palette as well. But that goes into our world generation. I'm not quite ready for that yet. Let's see. Let's see. How are you going to do that? I believe my YouTube email would be a fine way. I believe it's on my profile. I could be wrong. Oh no, it's there. It's dignifiedreign@gmail.com. You can email me at any time if you'd like. Let's see here. Oh my goodness. Died there a little bit. Holy cow. Choked on water. I haven't created a single tool. That's the thing I'm kind of stumped on right now. I'm trying to decide how to keep my tools in the style of this sci-fi universe where this Dale Corporation, this company, that is like hillbilly space farmers, right? That's kind of the basis of this. But you just work for that company, right? Terraforming, all that sort of jazz is the alley that I'm going for. I just don't know quite yet what I want to do. What I do know is that I also need to draw a spaceship, which I'm going to start doing now, I think. I need to draw a crashed ship. So I'm going to be doing that. Just gotta try to decide how I want to draw that ship. Let's see here. Let's copy the player over so we have a size reference, right? Need to have a size reference to our player. And this ship needs to be like smoldering in the dirt. They do hold it. They do hold it. So I'm going to have the player hold items like it was Minecraft, right? At least in that visual style where it's pinned to your hand. But I just thought using like a pickaxe or something would look really weird in this style of game, you know? So think of like Forager, for example. That's a great way to visualize this. Forager and other games of its type have the item in their hand. You don't really have hands on their character model, but it's floating there, and we're going to do something like that. And I haven't been sure yet if I want to do like lasers, like a laser miner, kind of like Terraria. It is 16 by 16. You are correct. You are correct. Yeah, so I'm thinking, right? Let's figure this out. Let's say this is the ground. I want to start. So I start with silhouettes, right? So I start with some simple shapes. And I think what I want to do is kind of like a rounded front end of the ship. So let's start that. And then maybe we have like a wing. And we kind of want this wing to... Let me think about this. What's I'm thinking like some sort of like, you know, space shuttle that kind of looks like an orca. But like, you know, the big engines back here, and then we've got some sort of this going on, right? That looks ridiculous, but that's the concept we're talking about here. So, I just got to think about how I want to do this. Okay, so let's start with some basics. Let's work our way through this. I gotta frame this in my head. The engines need to be like, I don't know. Let's see. Something like this. We don't want to see into it. So I'm thinking like we have this curve that comes in, and then maybe part of that wing is like over here. That's a big freaking wing. Let's see here. Maybe something like this. Again, we're just kind of doing concepts, right? I'm not super set on anything yet. The back of the ship kind of comes like this. It's going to be partially in the ground, right? I'm just kind of considering what I want to do. So the nose of this thing, got to be mindful about how many squares I'm taking up as well. You know, like ships have like cockpits, you know? It's a spaceship, right? So it's got to have some sort of front end. And then maybe it comes back. Oh, no problem. If you need him, he's right there. Let's pick this up, put it where it's supposed to be, and give it this some sort of arch. We would normally have like a wing somewhere over here. And then like whoa. Is that not closed? No, it's not. Okay. So just sort of working on filling in some silhouette space. Where the heck? Okay. There we go. Let's fill this all in. Feel like maybe the wings should be longer. Ah, okay. Welcome back. Alright, so ships kind of have this general vibe to them. Some sort of, like, back engine back here. Something to do. We'll clip this out and see what we can do about kind of cleaning this part up. Yeah, I have my own color palette. But yeah, feel free to use whatever palette you'd like. I can always make adjustments if it's something that ends up working. Be happy to take a gander. Okay. So, like, engines kind of have strappings, right? I kind of also want it to look like a delivery truck. I think that would be funny. Those space wings look weird. And that way I could potentially stick... Alright, let's see here. Trying to think of like how maybe branding would go. Let's see here. We've got a glass color, so let's select this and play around a little bit with like just general colors. See what we can make pop out of this thing. Maybe it's just got like this. Let's see here. Let's see how straight of a line we can get here. And where it needs to be straight or mostly straight. Yeah, that looks awful. The window's so jagged. Maybe it stands out? No, that looks ugly too. I might just have to increase the... I'll think about this as we work. Yeah, so to make this straight, it'd need to be like way out here. Which I suppose might be fine if I just bring the front end up. It does make it look a little bit more trucky. And then coming in here, highlighting this and just kind of shading some of this. That's too much. And then I'm gonna do some more blocking out. I'm not sure what we're gonna do with that yet. But hello. Can we stop doing that, please? There we are. Just realized that this also needs black right there. Wait, what happened here? Fixed. Didn't realize it was off center. Part of me wants to put this gigantic, like, hole in this thing and do, like, jagged cuts out of it. All of our cargo! Oh, maybe that's the game. All of our cargo got let out. Which is our space seeds. And now it's like terraforming a planet. And we gotta like collect them, stop them from destroying this planet because we're not like authorized to be here. And then let's see here. Sometimes less is more. I just don't like the way that this corner looks. So maybe we could do it like that. And then we'll take the dark red and hit the lower corners. We can take a highlight and come in here, because, you know, when metal's bent, it has like a high point, and so we can kind of simulate that a little bit, I think, with some of this. We won't go too far. And then we can take the Dale logo and make it humongous, because that's what would be here, right? So now we could do something where I take this this layer and move it down. We kill the orange on the wrong layer. That's why. Grab this, delete that, take Dale, put it, for now we're going to put it over. It's not big enough. Right? Dale. Dale. Dale Company Insurance. We're part of them. Space Farmers Initiative. One of those things, right? And then we drop down. We take the black, go back to our other layer, move it to the top, delete that. And now we have a huge hole in Dale. And then we can go back through now and color. I think I'm going to add the engines, like, up here. But I think I want to move the Dale logo just a little bit. There we are. And now we're going to go back and do the same technique. Hide that layer. Take all this. Oh, go back to our layer. Delete that. And now we can go in and merge the layers and start working here. Take some of this darker stuff. Now this is where, because we added that extra detail, we can go a little extra. Because we really want to show that this is damage. I mean, if it wasn't already made super apparent that there's a giant hole in the side of this. I think adding these highlights and things, we need a little bit more. We need I need to add another yellow. Oops. Move that yellow down, grab this yellow, and we're gonna make it even more yellow. There we are. Now we have this like bright tone, making the metal look like it's really messed up. We're gonna cut. There we go. Again, just kind of on the edges to really emphasize that metal's torn. And then we'll go in and add some red highlight just to make sure we're matching. And we would have lost paint in this transaction, right? So we want to come in too and just kind of scuff this up. Add darker parts of red, where, and then even whites, I'd say, or like some tone. Let's find a red, move it over here, and lean towards our white. And And I don't know why I went with red. I should have went with blue. Metal, depending, right, is kind of gray. Bent steel has kind of a whiteness to it. So maybe we can come in here even in all spots and add a little bit of... It kind of stands out funny. I'm not sure how I feel about that. I think I'd rather just use the neutral white or that off-white. Just kind of spreading it around before I look at it in the global view. We'd have like scratches eventually too, you know? Because this thing is messed up. Kind of want this crack to like bend a little bit. Or maybe we just need more. I think the red conveys the same idea as this. Maybe having highlights down low will mix the effect and give us the idea that... And then darken behind it, maybe? There should be some yellow here because Dale was there. Now we'll go through because there's a big old sticker. One, two, three. Fill that in. Let's see here. Kind of tinkering at the moment. Playing around, seeing what shapes work, what doesn't work. the we're gonna just chop that part off. That looks not great. I think what I want to do is delete that and actually make this thing properly shaped. Maybe something like this. Trying to think sci-fi. Part of me is like, it'd be so funny if it's just like a fucking trolley ladder. That's how you get out of it. But my brain's going in too many directions. Gotta focus on one thing at a time. I kind of want this like... Maybe I need to really start thinking about this. Okay. Just looking at the shape of the object I'm looking at. Like, I'm not trying to make anything like super fancy. I could do fancy, but in this case, I really think that less is more. And to sell the simplicity of everything else, I can't go too detailed on this thing. Oh, man. Forgive me. Okay. Give me a second. Right. Email verification. I'm not seeing anything yet. I'll check my spam folder, however. I'm sorry, what? Not sure what you just said. But if you need my email, there it is. Just to make sure you sent it to the right place, because currently, I ain't got nothing from you, bud. Test that one more time, and we'll see what happens. Back to spaceships. Back to spaceships. I want to just like a I guess so. Send it again to the right email address. No, I just got both of them. I wonder if it got stuck in the All right, let's see what's going on here. Hey, what's up, Clash? Hey, thanks, man. It's kind of hard to see. Let me import these into my pixel art so I can see what you're working with here. Tiled images. Yes. The hat is really funny. Actually, all right, later, Clash. Thanks for stopping in, though. I really appreciate it. What happens with a white border? Might freak it out. Might need a black and a white border. I'm just looking at what it would look like with the... No, that's too much. I think it does need some sort of outline, only because... let's take a look at that on our tile set. Restrict the tile, delete that. Get that color, delete that. Delete this. I'm just fiddling now with the design. I see what you're going for. Well, so we want it to be without a body, right? Because we're going to be rotating this from a point. And we want it to be able to stand on its own as an item, right? Because we also got to look at it inside of the inventory. So we got to tune it up to make sure that not only does it fit our character design, but also fit the inventory. We could do 2 images, but that's a lot of resources. And so if we do the Minecraft approach, we can tune this up a little bit. I think you're right to have just that one square there. I like the blue digital look that you got going on. This thing is wild. The weird trident. The hoe, maybe? The pitchfork? I don't know what that is. I like it, though. Well, let's say, for example... And I think this is a great piece for us to try. Like, let's... A cyber rake. I like that. Here, look. Here's what we'll do. Let me tweak these colors just slightly to match. A little bit more blue. A little bit more tone into what we already have. And what we can do is file, import, export rather, selected. This is a tool, axe. For simplicity's sake. I'll name it something later. We're gonna go new folder, tools. No, don't put the the player is a tool. Well, it hasn't been there for a long time. The idea is that you crashed. I will make it dirty for sure, because because we did recently crash. And this is just a mock-up. I'm not going to use that. I'm gonna make this a bit more ship-like too, because ships have like panels, right? You're expecting to kind of see things like this. Not to say that a ship should be designed this way. You know, I'm just saying that you generally have those like tech lines, riveted parts or whatever. Maybe, yeah. It's not a fighting vessel. It's gonna be like, because you're so like what do farmers do? They transport things in big trucks, right? And so I want to convey that you work for like a shipping company. You work for this company that deals. Dale is the uh oh boy. I have something for this. I have it written down. Hold on. Open the wrong page. My own brain. I gotta write this down so I don't have to look it up again. I don't want to say it wrong. Dispensers of Astral Life Essentials. Right? He like trips out it or trips over the debris or something for sure. Yeah, he has to like go out through the back hole. That'd be funny. But it's dispensers of Astral Life Essentials. Dispensers, no, of Astral Life Essentials. Dale. So Dale is a corporate company, right, that transports and terraforms, brings seeds and stuff to planets. So the idea is like you're dispensing this stuff. That's the point. You crash land, and all of your seeds, your mobs, escape. Shoo, you know. He jumps out of that hole. Let me add another layer so I don't accidentally paste that inside of my ship. There we go. Right? These guys escape and start planting themselves. So the radish enemy, what I already have it doing, is it runs from the player, at least in concept, and it burrows itself when you're out of range. When you get close to it, it pops back out of the ground and runs away. And so you have to hit it with fertilizer, which is like, you know, a steaming pile of dookie. That is not what dookie looks like. Fertilizer pile, you know what I'm saying? Little poo. Maybe there we go. There it is. We're starting to see the shape, right? Come in here, actually make it brown, and then highlight the tops. Big old pile of the dew. Someone took a duke, right? So you gotta get fertilizer. This is grim. I'm for it. It's just great. That's a steamer. There we go. So bad, dude. Sorry. Oh, what a childish thing to laugh at. Oh my god. So you have to throw poo on them. Use your poo pile, and it'll pacify them to become plants again that you can harvest. Right? So that's kind of their gimmick. And I was thinking... I didn't want to do that. Hold on. Okay, good. I moved it out of the hole. I wasn't sure. We're good. And one of the things that I was thinking was... I can't think and draw at the same time, apparently. So this to that to this. And then you got to do something with this. For this. For them money, right? For Dale Bucks. Company corporate money. Ching. And you can use that in the Dale dispenser. To then buy that beautiful axe. I don't know if I can get it small enough to fit inside this. Probably not. Weep. Nah, I'll just color it. Doesn't really matter. I just leave it in there like that. Anyways. So... a slot machine. We'll have a gumball machine, which will dispense you, like, it's actually a seed ball machine. So it'll dispense you seed capsules. They give you seeds. Seeds obviously look more like this, but they come out of a little ball. I'm gonna put that back where it belongs. You've got like this is like the vending machine. I just haven't. It kind of looks like a dumpster. But a slot machine, huh? That'd be pretty funny. But see, the whole point of this style, and that's one of the that was one of the ways I was thinking about the like claw machine and the gumball machine is its random mechanics. And so yeah, adding more random mechanics makes sense to me, right? And so there's got to be a way though to do this, to before we have upgrades, to do this next part. Where do we sell? How do we sell our thing? How do we get our money? You know what I'm saying? I gotta make sure I outline this in black, because all of our items have a black outline. It's just thematically one of the things we're doing. See, and that does kind of make sense, like having other corporate. But why am I still stuck here if other people can come save me? Is it more corporate nonsense? You know? Don't know if I like that. Darken this up. It's cheaper for them. Yeah, that does make sense. One of the things that I've done. Let me mute this synthwave thing real quick, and I'll play something for you. I did a mock-up of voice lines for a robot character from Dale. His name is Dale because, all the machines are named Dale. Because that's the whole goofiness of the game, right? What happened here? Oh, that's the dot. We should differentiate that a little bit. There we go. Yeah, voice line. I got ADHD, man. Let me increase the volume because it's gonna be loud too. So brace yourself. So this is the first one I made, and then I'll play the second one I made.
Well, howdy, y'all. It's TerraFarmer Dale here. Now, gather round and let me spin you a yarn about TerraFarmers. A mighty fine game that's still cooking up in the old development pot. It's all about them space farmers, you see. Sometimes them pesky space plants just ain't willing to stay put. They go wandering off, rooting where they ought not to. And what do when them rascally space plants start acting all ornery? Well, reckon you gotta put on your space boots and go chasing after 'em. Grab a trusty mallet, whatever you fancy, and start smashing them wayward plants till they cough up them precious seeds. It's a good old seed hunt out here in the vast expanse of the cosmos, they'll tell you. So, next time them space plants get to misbehaving, don't just sit around twiddling your thumbs. Strap on your space boots, draw that mallet, and let the chase begin. It's a rootin' tootin' space farming showdown, and them seeds ain't gonna gather themselves now, you hear?
So that was just a concept for me to work on. Kind of what before I started drawing, I had this Borderlands goofy humor. It's my humor. It's the way I love stuff like that, and I really want this game to be like outrageous in so many different ways. So this robot will be talking to Dale's company insurance. There'll be advertisements playing inside of your vehicle that you have to listen to. Stuff like this.
Howdy there, space farmers. It's Dale, your cosmic insurance wrangler, coming at you from Dale Company Insurance. Now, I reckon y'all love planting them space seeds and watching them grow. But let me tell you, the cosmos is full of surprises. Picture this. You're out there in the great beyond, tending to your space radishes, when BAM! A cosmic storm hits and them radishes start floating off like they've got a mind of their own. Now, what's a space farmer to do? Fear not, my friend, because Dale Company Insurance has got your back. Our outlandish insurance covers everything under the galactic sun, including the particular predicament of runaway radishes. Yep, you heard it right here. Radishing is covered. Whether it's a tornado of space dust or a rogue asteroid messing with your crops, we're here to make sure that your space farm stays as secure as a chicken coop on a summer night. With Dale Insurance, you can plant your radishes with peace of mind, knowing we're on standby for all them wild and outlandish space farm calamities. So don't be caught with your space overalls down now. Saddle up and head on over to Dale Company Insurance. We're here to keep your space farming dreams from drifting off into the cosmic unknown. Remember, if it's radishing, it's covered by Dale Company Insurance, where the outlandish meets the cosmic sensible.
So, that's before I add any of the extra roboticness. But those are that's kind of the idea that I'm heading towards. So maybe you're a space farmer coming to clean up you're coming from the corporate side to go pick up. You know, maybe there's like a dead guy. It's all crashed, broken, the glass is everywhere. There's just a dead dude laying over here. Now you gotta clean up his mess. Or, because it's a multiplayer game, you and your team crash. I like the size. This is a pretty good size for the game. I just need to add the features to this bus thing. Space bus. Na 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 na. Because yeah, we could totally just like crack the whole front of the windshield out. It's missing. Shattered pieces on the ground. Jagged. Jagged. Jagged pieces. Jagged. Glass is jagged. Some jagged, broken glass pieces sticking out of here. Gotta have that. This ship is messed up, man. We gotta convey the message of brokenness. Janky, sharp brokenness. And then the rest of it has just got like, it's like spider cracked, you know? Get an even darker color and just kind of be like, maybe this should be really dark. There we go. And we'll use that little bit of a lighter color to simulate cracks. But when glass breaks, it's also bright, you know, in some spots. So I'll company for that here, or account for that. Do. My phone's just blowing up today. It's obnoxious. It's got this just that looks that looks awful in a good and a bad way. Like that looks like tragedy struck. You know what I'm saying? This doesn't look good. But also the lighting is kind of whack. I think this lighter blue is definitely adding a bit to this. Let me highlight the edge here. And maybe we want to pull this so that it's like an even. That's a better slope. Maybe it has one of those like. No. My music's off. I turned that off so we could listen to stuff. Oh, that's really loud for you guys. My bad. Blew out your eardrums. Sorry. Sometimes less is more. I'm just trying to figure out what's the best style for us here. Hmm. How do we get Dale bucks? I if we yeah, if someone does come and visit us, they're like on a daily basis, or maybe there's a terminal that we can request, or to sell to. Because like, so we don't want to make it too difficult for the players to sell their goods. So what if we had like a contract, like a rocket that, like a space rocket, like a dumpster bin that shoots into space? Like, what if we turn this into a dumpster? Go back to being what you were meant to be, you little gross thing. Let's see here. Oh. We need some, like, dark orange. Like that. Bring this down a little bit. Dumpster. You know what I'm saying? Trash can. Whoa! I wasn't trying to do that. I was trying to... Just kind of looking around, seeing what it looks like next to things. Gotta get rid of the grill. We would have, like, drippy grunge, though. Ugh. You know what I'm saying? Just, like, gross corners, little bits of, like... bits of goo. Oh, let's see. My hand. Ow. I drew this crazy thing the other day, too. This thing's wild looking. Whatever it is, it's not good. You don't want that. I don't know what it is yet. It's based off this, but you don't want it. I think it's gonna grow toxic mushrooms and create weird zerglings or whatever. Mutate the plants, make them alive. I don't know. Then there's this fucking thing. He looks so grumpy. It's the grumpiest carrot you've ever seen in your life. Look at that thing. That is a giant carrot. It'd be funny if, like, radiation made this carrot sentient. Or you could do the whole Slime Rancher gag where you're like, feed me! Yeah, exactly. The Kirby mouth. Suck things into it. You gotta feed it carrots. Or a carrot's favorite food. Poop. poopy. That's a big poop. It'd be funny if, like, if there was, like, a bathroom that you went into to go to the bathroom, like a porta potty, and then it just has this little chute out the back, and when you flush, it just boop, pops out poop. And that way there is a food mechanic. You can eat the food to make poop. I might have to do that. It's just ridiculous enough that it might work. I want the attraction of this game to be that it's weird. You're talking about the last one I did? The Dale advertisement one? I think I had done this one.
Howdy there, Space Farmers. It's Dale, your cosmic insurance wrangler, coming at you from Dale Company Insurance. Now,
It does have a little bit of one.
Planting them space seeds and watching them grow. But let me tell you, the cosmos is full of surprises. Look at this. You're out there in the great big beyond, and suddenly, wham! You're hit by an asteroid sent down to the planet's surface. Now, let me tell you, damage of corporate property is not tolerated here at Dale. So you're going to have to pay off your debts first. Make sure that you pay your fines. If not, we'll come and repo your possessions. Well, it looks like you done spilt your seeds, and you didn't have Dale Company insurance. Well, now you're gonna have to go collect every one of them. And if you haven't wrangled them yet, they're gonna keep growing wild.
It's a funny voice. I like the voice. It'd be funny if it was like spray paint on this, like graffiti. Like somebody, because you know people tag like buses and shit. It'd be super funny to have some sort of whack. I have ADHD, man. I can't focus. What are we working on? Gotta finish this bus. It looks dumb. I don't know what to do about it. Maybe as you play, that'd be funny. Yeah, you come back and it's like a random event. Well, it looks like someone tagged your corporate vehicle. You're gonna have to go find a way to scrub that off. Looks like you're still in debt. It would be really funny if, like, every time you leave your ship to go into another zone, you come back and there's a chance of a random event happening to your base. Like, tagging, and that costs you money. Like, Dale pays its employees in Dale bucks, but it's not, like, real dollars. Yeah, exactly. Like, they don't want to see you physically, so they just send you little messages.
Howdy there, Space Farmer. I've got some unfortunate news for you. Your insurance claim has been denied. Looks like you didn't have corporate insurance when you had your accident. Looks like you're gonna have to work off that with manual labor. Yep, from truck driver to farmer, that's now your life.
I like that. That's funny. That's funny.
Now, we could just send a... You might be wondering why we don't just send a ship to pick you up. Well, that costs money. And as you get paid and per your contract in Dale Bucks, which is a legal tender, you're gonna have to work off your labor by selling plants.
Is that too much? But like at the beginning, your windshield is it's all busted up. There you go. Let's see. How would that... That's going to be huge. It's going to look hilarious. I love it. Let's keep working on this thing. Exactly, yeah. In a way, it's kind of like BioShock, where the voice cassettes just play, but it's Dale. Just constantly, like... In some ways, like Borderlands, right? Maybe this has, like, a connector? Some sort of... Yeah.
You finally paid off your debts. Unfortunately, we sent out some of these goons to raid your little farm just to delay your unwelcome return. Turns out, the company didn't really want you anyways.
And then you find out that Dale Company Insurance at the end is just run by robots. There is no human. There's no Dale. It's just robots. The whole time, this robot has been roasting you endlessly. You're like, you son of a... Just kind of looking at what options we have here. I'm not sure what type of, like, engine I want this thing to have. And, like, because it's a cargo hauler, like, maybe I should do this? So that way there's more options. Like it's connected, you know? Let me add another layer. And paste that up here. And then, like, this one has something different going on. Like an advertisement. And then in between these, we have, like, small connectors. Or that's where these come from as well. Like, maybe these are, like, built into the side of the Dale company. And we could add, like, thrusters. Maybe. These won't be red. But there we go. Tired of having a life that means something? Come join Dale today. Got too much time on your hands? No problem. Dale Company has got your back. Join the tantalizing adventure of a TerraFarmer. Now, our company travels the cosmos, needlessly terraforming planets that we discover along the way. Sometimes those planets already have inhabitants, and that's where you come in. Dale Company Insurance, or Dale Company, is proud to introduce our terraforming something, something, something. Let's add some shadow. Just to help some of this stuff stand out. Let's copy this and move it over. And what we could do is build some sort of, like, mud flap. We got space flaps. What the heck? Just copy this, guy. What are you doing? Just gonna move these down just a smidge here. I like that. That's a good corner. Just gotta flop it over here. Boom. Whoa, that was almost a direct fit. Holy cow. Is it... Wait, is the other one shorter? It is shorter. It's alright. Just gonna fix that right now. Boom. Alright. So now we kind of have something to at least visualize a little bit of what we're going to have to be doing. I wanted to get something in the game to represent the starting zone. I gotta get a font. So I can add some text, which I might add in the game. It'd be kind of funny if there was like a rotating advertisement right here. That Dale logo is off. Might actually just continue this style, like all the way through here. Hmm. Kind of fiddling now. Now we could do like streaks of damage. Maybe get like a nice little indent and then just do like this one is brutal. There we go. Let's kind of chop it in, make it look a little less circular on everything. Come in, because cuts are sometimes really jagged, and that's a crispy cut right there. Crispy. Feel like we're borderline too much damage. This thing got jacked up. Let's get rid of this one and move this down. And then fill that in. Move this a little bit. And do like a... We're just kind of doing silhouettes though, so I guess it's really not a big deal. Also, we gotta add like damage to this, right? So I guess we do kind of need... yeah, no, for sure. Making sure that the game is getting done is important. But it's also important to have have placeholders for the things you're trying to do. So really, right now, yeah, you're right. I don't need to focus too hard on art stuff, which is fine. I just duplicate some art for now. Let's add this down here. We'll call that good. He says as he continues to draw. All right. So, in the game, though, This is a huge fucking sprite. What am I gonna do with this thing? We're gonna add another layer and take our favorite blue and do some painting here. There's no way that this thing doesn't throw a huge shadow. That's not necessary. This adding blue to it will be, but let's just kind of come in here and talking about taking this off. Make the car go second. What do you mean? Well, these will for sure be in, like, there's going to be more of these. It was my thought. Like, you were carrying an entire caravan, but now we're missing, like, the end piece. Missing what's left. Gotta go find it. Because one of the things I was going to do is something similar to Subnautica, where in Subnautica, you have, when you spawn, there's a ring of distance around you. And certain objects will spawn in that range. And then that's how they scale the game. So the further you move away, no, I would imagine that one single sprite would load faster. Less calls. I mean, it is a big sprite, but not when you're talking about something that's only this big. But we'll take a look at it. And then as you move out farther, come on, game. Stop. As you move out farther, there's another range that has a chance of spawning this next factor, and then so on and so on and so on. And so, some of those things are going to be mobs. Some of them are going to be ship components. One of them is going to be the drone. But yeah, let me pull this off. Let's merge these two layers down. Let me pull this one off. Well, no. So that's where coding comes into play. Way back, the idea is that in our game, so what we have right now is a procedurally generated, based off Perlin noise, spawn system that spawns our different components sporadically, right? And that's how and then we use nodes to pinpoint these locations and add nodes for like our trees and our mining and everything. And so there's like a layer system in how it decides where to build things. And then so just like Minecraft, right, we have a chunk, and another chunk, and another chunk. And so as we start the game, there is only one chunk. This. Oh, that's that's easy though, right? So, and I'll explain why. So when we design this, let me reduce the scatter here, and let's go to right. So let's say this is the player. We can see this, right? And then each tile, each one of these chunks has sensors. No, they wouldn't. They wouldn't need to be. And so what'll happen, right? Because we'll have a day and night system. So we have a clock that's it's counting, it's doing its thing. So we take that value, and when we load our game, we build these first squares. So then the tiles will generate around what we're building. And then, because you only see this much, when you leave and go, say, 2 squares away, this will hide. It'll unload those graphics. But it'll remember what's there, because it'll save it into a JSON grid, which is just a bunch of XY information and an ID. So it's like, this tile is ID 1, ID 2, ID 3, and it'll save that into an array. And then it'll rebuild this as we move back into it. And then you're saying what happens to plants? Well, that's pretty straightforward. Every day, even if they're in this script, when we save it, we save the time. Day 1, right, at 3 p.m. Oops. So if we have day 1 at 3, when this is saved, whenever we return to it, we check what day it is, and times the growth by the number of days that have passed. And that way, what mechanics are you? What mechanics would break? What are you talking about? Let's talk about that real quick. Excuse me. No. And I'll tell you why. Because each chunk, so each save data, I get what you're saying, but we're not going to run into that issue because our game won't be loading that much at a time. So each chunk 1, right? So this is chunk 1 where we start. Chunk 1 is saved into an array, and all of its data is saved into a subarray because it's called a structure, right? In GDevelop, and this will hold the tile information. That will only be called when you're in range of it. When you're out of range, this won't be rendering. It'll store the information, but storing information is not the same thing as reading information. And each one of these is in its own game scene. This is 100 by 100, or 1,024 square blocks at 16 by 16. So it's 16 by 16 times 32 wide by 32 height width. That's 146, or 1,046, or 1,026. What is that? 32 by 30 times 32. 1,024, right? So we're loading per chunk because each scene, let me explain this. So this is 0, 0. This is 0, 1, 0, 2, 0, 3, 0, 4, 0, 5, right? You understand that. As you're saying, you know how X and Y works. So when we load each map, each of them are a separate external layer. And this external layer is storing 0, 0 is right here. So we only check the chunk that we're in. We check this value. And then we'd say from the original point, start a new blank array that's here. Well, yeah, but the limit is massive. Because how, you have to ask how big is that value? Right? Like how much storage does this take in our game? Because we can't be storing gigabytes of data on our player as our game grows. We can't do that. And this is server limited, right? So, okay, that brings hardware into the question. What hardware do we need to be able to run a server? But this is only rendering on the client side. So we're storing the data from in the server. And if you're playing single player, that means obviously that data is being stored locally as well. I mean, you have to, right? I can send data to tell you what's in this square. But at the same time, if you think about the way that games maps were made before, right? We have, let's say, like some dungeon crawlers where one is a wall, right? One, 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 one. That's what we're doing here because we assign a texture value in the same item. So each of these items in our game, with the way that we've designed it, each tile is one sprite with different animations. Rather than a bunch of different items, we're loading one sprite and we're flipping through its index. And so all of these have a number value based on the number that they're in. And so we end up loading an array of chunks, is what I was trying to get at. So our chunks look like, when we start here, let's say, for example. So this is like, I guess technically this would be 0, 1, 2, whatever, I guess on the array. Depends on how the array's built. So this chunk is loaded as 2, or whatever number. This is number 1, so this is like 0, 1. Which technically on an array, if we look at it, the actual array is just this number. This block is being stored. Then we check from that another set of those, which then become x1 or x0, y0 at the top, and then 1, 0, xy, 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 xy. And each of those are all we're storing is an X value, a Y value, and an ID. And that ID correlates to what sprite to change to. We're loading 3 variables. Redraw it. So when we're drawing it, when we draw it, we draw 2 values. We draw a tile and a color. And what we do is we create Perlin noise here. And then when they collide at certain height values, and we do it via transparency, so it's only checking the transparency value, and then it assigns the correct tile. If we assign that tile value, and it returns a null value, or something that isn't what we tell it to do, we'll check the noise that was originally, that's created, and recreate the tile. Well, so they're not individual frames. they're individual animations stored inside, because this is the way the engine works. Now you're talking about how the engine stores information. And this is all HTML and JavaScript, for one. But it's baked behind the the engine framework, and the way that they store these values is like, it's a entity, a node, with, rather than each one of these being one animation with a bunch of frames, it's just animation 0, animation 1. It's just another way of, instead of creating each individual item, but those add stress value. We can check our debugger and check how much resources we're pulling, and keep this optimized. You know, we can start a profile, see how the game runs, end that profile, and then check to see how fast things are going. You know, let's move around a minute. So already, though, you might be able to see it. Let's see if I can get something to disappear. No, everything, I have it kind of set right now to not, but at a view distance, we can de-render and hide these objects. And all we're doing is storing an XY location. We're checking for a collision with another object. And then boom, yeah, we can't store too much information at one time. It's gonna make computers bog down, but we can store that information to redraw it as we need it. And once you download it, once that's like built into your map that you're building, right? The save value of that, we're just toggling save information and we're de-rendering as we need to. With a lot of entities and nodes, that would be a problem. But in the way that we're doing this, I don't think we're going to have an issue. I have an issue if I crank up the number of trees. But like here, I'm like, look, I'm randomly generating tiles right now. Do you see how choppy it's getting? But I'm doing that. That's how fast it can load a whole new tile set. And it stutters for a second. The trees, because the trees are based on a different factor. I added another layer that detects if there's a tile there. It's checking for a collision entity, and there's no collision there. This is a collision object. The tree itself is a collision object. I have intentionally not made the trees change, because when we spawn them, we don't need to reload that. The trees are a one-time load thing. And so we just need to store if they're there or not. When I change the tile set to simulate generation, why would we regenerate? So like, if all of this got corrupted and these didn't, because they're independent things, then it can easily redraw itself. And because we're checking for a collision entity, and none of these tiles are collisions, not these specific ones, then the trees don't need to move. And we'll be limiting the number of trees that are drawn at one time, and the number of stones that are drawn at one time. The further out in our game that you go from the center, so there's going to be gem rarity. No, they do have a unique position, but it's saved one time. I was forcing the terrain here to regenerate as though I was building new chunks. And because of how big my chunks are, it takes a second. If I reduce the size, then I can generate a lot more at one time, because they're smaller. And then it reduces the total generation, and but it's the same logic. And so what'll happen is when you load into the game, it's not just going to pop into existence. Oh, yeah, each chunk is unique. It's randomly generated based on static. Again, Perlin noise. So we're generating static behind. Let me show you that. I'll show you what that looks like. In our world manager, if I change color to -1 and put the tile on top of it, let's see here. Trying to think of how to show you this. So I can kind of simulate this at the moment, where you see how these tiles are slightly, like, they're more transparent, right? So the layer that's on it is hiding the transparency because I put it on top. But underneath it, there's this black and white cube, and because it's just a black cube that is generating, and then it's changing its color value, and it's generating noise. And then I set a value, so between the opacity of 100, if it's below 100, make default grass. If it's above this number, do gravel. Change the gravel type. Change the grass type. Build grass, right? And so you can see here that at this value, the lowest value underneath the tile set, before it decides what tile to become, it checks for this transparency. And if it is transparent, build grass on it. And we can see how different the brightest and lowest value can be between these two. And then if I close this and change this back to 1 and colors back on top, all of the grass is the same brightness because it's not being affected by that color layer anymore. So the only default chunk that grows, and the trees actually will be, because every time you start the game, the trees are randomly generated. Like there, we have a collision error. I'll fix that. That's just layering, right? And the point is telling it that, hey, you can spawn something right underneath it. They just kind of overlap, but we'll add some distance and padding. But as you can see, every time it's random. So every time you play the game, it'll be new unless you have a save. And so in the first square, though, there will always be your truck and your scattered equipment at the beginning of the game. And they're like, hey, before we, you need to go, let's say you need to go survive the first couple of days until they can send out someone to inspect the damage or something. Yeah. Yeah, and the save file will reload the JSON. But again, it's only rendering what we need as we need it. So it's kind of like in 3D when you have when developers do the man, there is just so much writing on this thing. Let me go backwards a bit. I don't want all this. Oh man, it's like on my main page too. Let me go backwards. So imagine for a moment, going back to this scenario. Well, it needs to be considered in mine as well. That's what I was saying. That's what this is. This is your camera, right? And that's view distance in 2D. My camera can only see this far as we run around these tiles. And so in 3D, the only real difference, because you can still do it this way, is if you put the camera behind the player, you then see like this. Yeah, and that's called field of view. And we're basically going to be telling our system, like, if you have trees and stuff, games that have, in 3D, that have just loads of data, right? You're loading all of this while you're looking at it. But then when you look away from it, it hides this. And this is how... Hey, I appreciate that. Well, for 3D, sure. But that, I mean, that's irrelevant. This is just an example. So, like, this is your field of view. Well, this is my field of view. And by considering what is within my field of view generation, while we're building, we don't have to generate all of the cubes at one time, because we know that there needs to be a cube here. But if it's below our site, so if our site is below the distance, then draw this cube. These cubes, draw these. And we can do that at a distance around the player. So that way, before you even see it, it's redrawing these squares. But because each one of these is a 0, 0, XY grid, because they're independent scenes being added to our game, rather than expanding infinitely on one terrain, it'll be adding infinitely, and it'll look the same to you. But in the back end, we're generating these independently. And then that way we can, before we draw it, we can visualize it in our system and plot those points. And now, as we develop, because it's still a single XY grid, we can check for that view distance as the player creeps into it. And then, like I said, we're only drawing X amount before the player. But then this cube won't have to do this. It doesn't need to do that. As we get close, it'll do that without drawing it. It'll do it invisibly. And then as we get close... Yeah, I will be. I was going to work on that video today, actually. And it'll be like a 5-minute video. I'm still just getting started. This is my, I'm starting on my second week on YouTube. There's a lot to do. It's a lot of work if I want to, have people look at my game, and I'm also exposing all of my stuff, but, I don't know about that. I'm running a finite state machine, so each of these are scripts that lead into scripts. I have a lot of coding done. I don't... Each one of these is just, chock full of coding. I'm not even close to done. What do you mean? A lot of code, but nothing visual that would make your game make sense to have that much. You want to be able to move in a game? You got to have code, man. I don't know what you're talking about. Visually from the start, from the very first episode, we built all of this entire game when I've been live streaming so far. So every bit of code, anybody can go learn from, rip off, whatever you want to do. I don't care. Oh, yes. Okay. I understand what you're saying. What he said was, what I mean is that you wrote a lot, but the game you have is not an accurate representation of the work, as it looks like looks little to the people who are not used to game development. You're right. There isn't a whole lot going on. The next thing to do would be to make my user inventory look shiny. There needs to be monsters roaming around. That gets people excited. If I was about trying to show off what I'm doing, that would make sense. When I start making videos like that, I won't be making videos like that until I'm farther in my development. But what I can do is, hey, this is what I did in my first week. Here's a 5-minute rundown of, we built an inventory system, we built a farming system, here's the concept of how we generate random terrain. Oh yeah, so, and I also wanted to get to this person. I'm sorry, I wasn't ignoring you. Diogo? I'm not sure how to say your name. You've asked a couple of questions, and I want to get to those. So, the first one you asked, but I'm gonna call you Dio, because I don't want to mess that up any further than I already did. Do you think GDevelop is a good engine, and would you recommend her? He said my game was looking amazing. I appreciate that. And for you, what is the most difficult part for creating a game alone? Doing the game art or the programming? All great questions. So first from the top, do I recommend GDevelop 5? So far, absolutely. I have coding programming language in knowledge in Python, JavaScript, HTML, Lua. I can program in HTML, Tailwind, and JavaScript a bit, enough to build websites and do things like that. And I'm all self-taught. I picked that up over many years of my life. And then I've been doing pixel art now for about 7, 8, 9, 10 years. I have ADHD and I have dyslexia. And I find that the visual programming, it still requires that you understand the mathematics and understand how code works. And that's true whether using the blueprint system in Unreal 5, or GDevelop, or GameMaker, or whatever insert you want. I'm a visual person, so visual programming to me makes the most sense. I can write in programming languages, but I like this. It works for my brain. And that's what's important. Is it a good engine? They have recently added 3D, which is really exciting. We're seeing some like first-person shooters come out. I'm working on a project like that as well. Is it well-rounded? So far, I've really enjoyed working in it. It took me a while to understand, and I still don't know everything. But I'd never built an inventory system before or anything like that, and so I had to do some research. But the community is superb. If you join their Discord, and there's a help area that's always full of people willing to help out and teach you some stuff. And the documentation it's okay. It takes a lot of hands-on trial and error, in my opinion. But is it a good engine? Yet to be seen. Is it good for me? Yeah. I don't know that I would fully recommend it, but if you're it's subjective. Because can you program? And like I'm not let me delete this and I'll try to visually explain what I'm saying. You can learn some programming. If you know the basics of programming, and in my last video live stream towards the end, I talked a bit about this. But if you know what a function is, you know what a variable is, and how this is like coding basics, right? This is terrible. I'm not even going to write. So this is coding basics, though. If you understand this, then you can be a programmer. You can program anything. And even if it's all in one script, if it works, it works. You get a check mark. Can you do it? Yes, you can. Should you do it is a question that you have to ask yourself. Well, and so practically, so way back it says Godot or Godot, gdevelop, construct are all the main ones for 2D. Though construct is if you really want to use construct, you have to pay for it. gdevelop is completely free. They do have a subscription model, but it doesn't limit you anything beyond how many releases and updates you can do a day for your game onto the web browser, onto their gaming platform, and as exports. You get 2 a day. I don't know anybody who needs to update their game like that. It does have a free version, but it sucks. If you've used it, you know that you can't do more than 25 events, which is... Let me explain that to you. Each one of these is an event. These are events. You can't do more than 25 main events. You cannot develop a game. A full-fledged feature. Well, we don't recommend piracy. Because if you do develop a game and you go to release it and your company gets audited, or the construct finds out that you aren't paying the license, which pays for your game fees, your game is done. It is an issue because someone still owns the right to it, and whether it's still being developed or not, I mean, we can agree to disagree. But I don't condone piracy. But here you can see that biome creation. If the opacity of a tile is less than this and the color, the other tile, is in collision with it, change their animation. If I removed this and set this back to -1, this is what I was going to show you earlier. And we update our game. It didn't work. Let me just check this out. No, that didn't work either. What the heck? Does tile need to be on top? Oh, that... Well, no, that... I had it at -1, didn't I? I forgot how to do that. But that means I don't need to render that. That's good. Wait, hold on. I just noticed something. Okay, well, that's much better. That stutter is so much less. But you'll go into a loading scene, and we'll load X amount of chunks around you first, and then as you start moving, it'll expand. But that's interesting. Interesting. Let's put this back to 0, and this one back to 1. No point in changing 2 sprites if we don't need to. Anyways. Back to the game engine. Godot would be an engine if you... Godot has G script. That's their coding language. And it's really very much Python. And so practically, if you do learn GD script rather, and I do recommend that if you're going to use their engine, don't use C. Use GD script. It's designed for it. Do that. It's definitely the one I would recommend. Definitely. It's just way more robust. But I think for what this engine is, there's a lot that you can do with it. And I'd be happy to take a moment to just show some of that off, actually. The hardest thing that I find while doing development is the programming. But that's just because of who I am as a person. I find, you know, doing art so much more convenient, so much easier to do because I've put so much more practice into it comparatively. Let me pull up some other things I've done. When I first started the development, this was the first thing I drew. This little spaceman. And it became this tile set, which you can see I took some of the tiles from another, my other game. I was working on a mixture of 2D, and we had like gun, gravity looking gun, the space suit, and that looked, that ended up looking good too. But then I ended up redrawing and kind of having a less detailed character. I can do more advanced graphics. The question is, do I have any of them on my computer right now? Let's see. I'm gonna start opening up some of my old spriting. There's something I was testing and working on. Here's something I was working on for my black and white game. Actually, so let me save this, and let me open up some other games that I've done in the engine, because I mean that's probably the best way to just show you. So Ruin Knight, I didn't do the art for this, but I did the programming. And Ruin Knight is let me turn off the music. So this has got an attack, and all of this was coded in GDevelop as well. Standard beat 'em up platformer, right? Things block you, you can climb up things. Monsters chase you. Ow. He hit me with a little butt. Ow. Well, that's jacked up. You're supposed to spawn over on the other side. But, anyways, so there's that. I have another side-scroller that I did draw. So all of this I drew. Where's the character? He's way over here, isn't he? Yeah. Alright, let me move him back over here. And start this project. We'll do it from the title screen. So we have our titles. None of those go into anything yet, but start the game. And this one has, this one's got some really loud slashing, but I did all the spriting for this game, background, foreground, all the objects, except for this one. And this is called Tifu. And then here, I'm like working on enemies. Obviously, his hitbox placement isn't right. I open up my debug menu. You kind of see what's going on. I have a finite state machine running for this. And so here I just have 2D side scroller games, but the engine is capable of more than that. If we go into our build, we can go see game templates and go see other things that people have done. Here's a 3D one. We're just going to open in the web app and preview this. So here's like a 2D, or this one's 3D, a 3D like miner game. I'm not sure how much these cost, but I just built them. Maybe we need like 10 wood. I don't know how much it costs. I wasn't paying attention. What other titles and things? Thank you. Infinite runners that are in 3D. Space shooters. There's so much. I can't even... The Discord server alone. Let me pull that open. For GDevelop. If you go to like the work in progress section and you can check out what other people are making. There are brawlers, fighting games. Here's a Pokemon style game that somebody's making. There's an action beat 'em up, Smash style. My game. Oh, getting a call, guys. Give me just a second.